Good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening, depending upon when you're watching this. Again, this is not really a lecture, as more of it is kind of a commentary on the ethnography part two that I've read. I had them all graded. They should be up and ready to go. So I wanted to discuss the second part of the ethnography, which was, do we currently live in a day and age where the American dream actually exists, or is it more of the American nightmare? If you have ever heard a speech by Dr. King, Dr. King refers to the American dream. His counterpart, or not his counterpart, but someone who had a different voice was Malcolm X, who described the American dream as an American nightmare for particular BIPOC people. And the term BIPOC just means Black, Indigenous, people of color. So I'm going to give a small kind of a lecture on the American dream versus the American nightmare. First of all, I enjoyed reading your ethnographies part two. And I just want to start out by saying that a great deal of you have a great deal in common as it relates to transportation. Transportation is a phenomenal, or should I say, personal transportation. So if you received a vehicle from your parents or from anyone that you didn't buy, that would be an unearned privilege. And what can you do with a vehicle? Well, you can do an array of things. Number one, you can literally drive away from your problems, and I mean literally. Let's just say that you're having an issue with a state or an apartment, and you're like, I don't want to be in this place anymore. You can literally get in your car and literally drive away from it. So transportation or personal transformation is a privilege because we can leave, we can go and come when we choose. You can go as far as that vehicle can take you, which those are two important factors. Let's just say that you live in a underprivileged neighborhood and you have your own vehicle. You can literally drive to 2 or 3 cities away, or you can drive to a different township to where you can get a better job. Again, it's the idea of being able to move out of a certain situation. So there are multiple students who had made mention of, my very first vehicle was free. And again, that's an important aspect of privileges. I think there are a few students who talked about being able to earn land, or that you will inherit land. And again, probably one of the greatest material worth things is land. If you are being given land by anyone, then that literally can be used to greatly benefit you and the causes that are ahead of you. So that was also good. But let me get back to the American dream versus the American nightmare. The American dream is the idea that if you work really, really hard and pull yourself up by your bootstraps, that you will be able to succeed in America. Now, the American nightmare is no matter how hard you work, no matter how hard you try and pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you will continue to find obstacle after obstacle. And these were the two juxtaposition thoughts that we asked for the ethnography. Do you believe that you are living out the American dream or the American nightmare? And depending upon the students, depending upon the background, depending upon the answer. So here's my understanding of the American dream and the American nightmare. Number one, I don't believe there is an American dream or an American nightmare. However, I do believe that if you work really hard, that you have access to multiple opportunities. But having an access to multiple opportunities does not mean you will climb up the ladder. So there are multiple people that I read papers that they said, I've worked outlandishly difficult. I mean, I've worked outlandishly hard, in these so-called opportunities still are not available to me because of my gender or my race or something that I can't control. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, that's not true. I'm in the same boat and I've been able to get through this system. Again, each situation will randomly be different. But again, I believe that just working hard there's not enough to just work hard. And we can see working really hard not paying off in our country from 1619 to 1964, right? And so from 1619, if you worked really, really hard, it didn't get you anywhere except for still working the field, working railroads. Up until 1964, you still had sharecropping, which meant that you got a small portion of the land you worked. So the mythos of if you work really, really hard, you can achieve greatness, I don't believe that. I also don't believe that there's an American nightmare also. I believe that one of our issues is that we live in an opportunistic society, which means opportunities come and go based upon who's holding those things, right? And so if you come from a household that's got lots of money, you may be able to have multiple opportunities and not act upon them, right? And so just because you have a lot of money does not mean that you have happiness. And so I think that what needs to take place is that each individual needs to map out or, construct their own well-being. Meaning, what do you think you need to be happy? And a lot of times we don't know what it means to be happy because we continue to compare ourselves with others. Well, I'd be happy if I had a car like Frank, or I would be happy like Susie if I could go on a vacation like she has, or she's gone to. The issue here is that you need to figure out within your life, your context, what works for you, and then seek that out. Now, I believe that everyone will have some sort of a hindrance to them, whether it is a learning disability, whether it is your gender, your race, your sexual orientation. There will be systems in place that oppose you because of the things that you cannot control. There will be places that will say you're not welcome because of the color of your skin, your disability, maybe even a learning issue. Doesn't matter what it is. As people, we tend to segregate ourselves because of greed, because of selfishness. So the idea of facing an obstacle will always be with you, regardless. The question is, how much work do you have to put in to overcome those particular obstacles? A lot of times what we'll do is we'll face an obstacle towards our goals and we'll just stop and quit. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I would challenge each and every one, regardless of who you are, no matter what your sexual orientation is, your race, your ability or disability, that the opportunities to seek out greatness are right in front of us. The question is, how do we move forward? Is it fair that there are others around us that have it easier? Of course, it's not fair. But the question is, even if it's not fair, what do we do with that, right? Of course, we can sit and just be like, oh, boo-hoo. Or we can say, how do I work ourselves out of this? Now, at the same time, I am not saying that we don't fight for social justice and for the rights of others. What I am saying is that you cannot wait for other individuals to give you what you need. If it's an obstacle, you have to go out and get it yourself. And if that means fighting for it while you're doing it, then do so. So that's just kind of my take on the American dream and the American nightmare. I do not believe in the American dream, and I do not believe in the American nightmare, even though those are both real life concepts that do exist in our country. I don't believe in them as in they have real power, which means in anthropology, power is the means to do something, or they have real authority, which is the right to do something. I believe if our minds say that it is an obstacle, then it is an obstacle and that we have a hard time getting out of it. But that's my kind of take on that. And after this video goes up, you can look for the question of the day. Take care. Peace.